I'm Joelle. I have the privilege of running customer support at Aircall for both North America and Europe. And I am co-hosting the session with Bobby, and I will let you introduce yourself, Bobby.
Yeah, very nice to meet everybody. My name is Bobby Stapleton. I am the Senior Manager of Customer Support over at Intercom. So I oversee our North America teams in Chicago and San Francisco. And yeah, really excited to be here today and talking about something near and dear to our hearts, leadership and how we can best support our teams, especially through tough times.
So let's get started, and actually with a question to our audience. I see 12 people have joined us. Would love to hear a bit more about you, about your roles, maybe a bit about your sentiment today, how you're feeling, and how your day and your week has been so far, and what you thought of the panel discussion.
We'll have Annie kick us off.
Cool. Hello, Annie. So Annie from Denver. Yes, the compared to words from Robert was really spot on. I couldn't agree more. It's really telling you to gain perspective, and there always were worse scenarios and worse situations than yours. And when you look at it like that, it's a discipline. I mean, there are many times where you forget to do that. And really, if you're able to ask yourself that question, there are many times where I believe your stress level and frustration level goes down automatically, because at the end of the day, we don't have it bad.
We'll jump into some questions, and to kind of kick us off, we're all very aware that business is not really business as usual right now for our support teams or for our broader teams if you're coming from a different non-support team. And to get us started, I would love to kind of just open this up and hear, what are some of the new or changing trends that you're seeing on your teams right now? And we can talk about this through the leadership lens or just through a broader kind of customer support lens. So I'll start and then pass it to Joelle. And then, as mentioned, we'd love for camera, audio, hear from the audience here as well. So two things that we've noticed at Intercom with some of the changing trends for support. One is from kind of on the business standpoint. And as we've gone through this global pandemic, I think now more than ever, we've noticed the importance of providing really personal customer support. And I think generally we could all agree it's never been a good approach to have just, hey, each ticket, each customer is a ticket and kind of plow through them. But really, especially now, I think when companies are really fighting for every customer and every dollar, our support teams have this unique opportunity to be that face of our company and help navigate through these tough and challenging times. So for us, we've been just working with our teammates to give them more permission to spend extra time talking through someone's use case, talking through someone's setups, working through our segmentation to really prioritize some of those sensitive conversations. Our customers that are maybe trying to better understand their bills when cost is something that's really important these days. And just kind of giving that extra touch instead of, maybe sending over a help center article. So those really small behaviors to make things really personal. Customer, that's a big standout across the industry. And then from the leadership standpoint, for me, it's been really trying to stay close to the emotional well-being of the team and being really mindful of that empathy burnout. I think there is a bit of when working in customer support, we all signed up to take on our customers' emotions, to take on tough conversations, but I would argue those conditions are very different right now. And so now more than ever, noticing this changing trend for myself and the other leaders to really just give that extra time with our reps, to check in with them. Before it was, hey, we'll see you in our weekly one-on-one, and now it's at the beginning of the day and end of day sign-offs, giving the team time to refresh. Now that we are all working from home and don't have that connection in person. So just really staying close to that emotional well-being, given the heaviness of some of the conversations that are out there for our support teams. Joelle, I would love to hear from you, and then as well as anybody else.
Well, it's for us at Aircall, it's a bit of the same thing. It's actually been an interesting journey, really, because the product we have and offering VoIP phones has come in really handy. We have a number of customers who realized that very quickly they had to adapt and adjust, and needed to be able to adapt to the circumstances. Not being able to go to the office, they needed a phone solution. So we ended up having a lot of new business. So people have had some, and companies have had some financial hardships. So we have seen some of that, but then we had a whole lot of new customers coming in and being very, stressed and under a lot of pressure because everything had to happen really quickly. So when it comes to support and to management, whether on the onboarding aspect, onboarding new customers or serving them because they're working from home and the network conditions are not the best, you don't have the best Wi-Fi connection, not everything is stable. People get frustrated because the tool is great, but the performance may not be up to par. So it's been quite challenging, and you have to just to be resilient and to tell yourself, okay, I'm here to do my best. This is what I'm trained to do. This is what I know how to do. But I would say that it's important to keep pleasure at it. It's not just a job. We're working from home, so there is a mixture of, the lines are blurred. You're at home, you're working, and then you're still at home and you stop working. So it's really, as a leader, is trying to remind people of just taking pleasure and pride in what they do. And we're all in the same boat here. We're all facing issues. And I think that if you try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand where they come from and why they may be a bit complicated, more than usual even, that it just brings down the pressure. Just relate to people on a more personal level. It's not just VoIP. It's not just technicalities. It's not an email. It's not just a call. They're two people talking to each other. And I think COVID and the pandemic situation has allowed us to bring down our guard and be ourselves a bit more. And it's still okay. You're providing the information. You're providing the answer. You're just doing it in a more personal manner. And I think it's really important because it has a good feeling to it, both for the person doing it and I think the person receiving advice or an answer. And as a leader, I think we need to encourage people to be themselves, to stay true to themselves, to their values, and to what makes them feel good, not to add to any of the ongoing stress and pressure. Hello, Crystal.
Hello, Crystal. I love that, Joelle, and like you said, that humanized support, and such a good shout that we're focusing on that for ourselves as leaders, for our internal teams. You're totally right. It's really special that we're seeing that from our customers as well, and just kind of bring that to the fold. To follow up here on Crystal's question, they ask, how are you balancing the expectations for your support team while offering this more personalized support, given some of the larger queues and volumes? Yeah, that's a great question, Crystal. It's important when thinking about any capacity planning or when you are giving more time and attention to a certain segment or a certain part of your business that you can't do it all. And so if you are taking on more, there is going to have to be that give. So for us at Intercom, this is, work at Intercom plug here, but for us, that's been leaning more into the automation space. And so figuring out, okay, what are the things that before we would maybe want to have a really fast first response time on, but now, we can use automation to get information, get a first touch to those customers, and maybe have a longer response time for them. So using automation self-serve has been kind of that balancing point for us, to then be able to say, okay, when we did this whiteboarding exercise of, where we are support 2020, it's these are the things right now that really, really need that human touch. So let's start there first and then see what's left over, what can be tackled through automation self-serve.
Thanks a lot, Bobby. And we have Annie, who's also asking us a question in the chat. What are the ways that you are helping your teams maintain morale during this time? Seems like a lot of customer support, customer experience teams have so much coming at them. Hard to balance. Very, very true. What I do personally, it's personal to me, but what I'd like to do and try to do every day is reach out to my team members. So I have two teams. I have one New York and one in Paris, I'm trying to send out personal messages, not to everyone, not every day, because it's not something that should be a habit. It's something that needs to be personal to them. What is making them happy? What might be on the back of their minds? So I must actually thank my managers for that, and the team members themselves, because they point to me and they say, and they will Slack me or call me and say, hey, this person is having a bit of a harder time today, or this person is, is tired. We have a lot of tickets. They're getting a lot of calls. So on the back of that, what I try to do as the global head of is to send a personal note, is to just kind of bounce back. I don't do it within the minute. I don't want it to be that obvious, or I'll do it later in the day, or I'll do it the next day. I'll ask about the kids. I'll ask about, personal life, about I'm trying to bring it out of work as well. I know it's a difficult time to plan ahead. I know it's a difficult time to project yourself, but let's talk about something else. It's not just about work. Who are you as an individual? What are you feeling apart from, from your role and from your job? So I'm trying to make a personal connection. Of course, never pushing it. I mean, it is still work. There's still boundaries. So I will not push. I will wait to see if the person is actually willing to talk. And if I do get the feeling and the impression that a person needs more attention and would like a bit of a larger speaking and talk time, I make room for that in my schedule as well. And what I've been doing that I wasn't doing before is personally sending a newsletter every week to my teams, including my teams under my responsibility, support, onboarding, but to include leadership and to highlight what we're achieving, to try and highlight people, their personal achievements, their team achievements, our metrics, the projects we're working on, everything we deliver, and to show how much care cares about people, how much support does, and to truly try to give credit to the people individually, to try and also share with the rest of the company every time we get some positive feedback in an email or from a Slack conversation, to copy paste them. So what I do is I gather the information all week, format it on Sunday night or Monday morning, and to try and start up the week on a positive note. How about you, Bobby?
I think for me, two things come to mind on maintaining morale through tough times. The first is thinking about like that foundation of the pyramid of like psychological safety. And I think if somebody, and at the heart of that is being really clear and level setting with folks around expectations. If someone's like stressed and worried about like, hey, I have to take care of my kid today, does that mean, I'm able to start a few hours late? Or maybe I'm having my own health problems or some other family health problems, and I'm not going to be as productive as I need to be. Like, what does that mean for them? What does that look like? And so I think as for us as leaders, it's just so important, like for people to get to the top of that and feel really good about their jobs. It's really important for them. Expectations, cerebral heartache, to have that be really, really clear from you. So that's something that like we've been focusing on over the past few months, of just letting folks know, like, hey, here's what we are, if you're here, if you're on the court, here's what we expect from you from like a productivity standpoint. If you aren't feeling okay, here's your resources through HR or different spaces like that. If your kids are going nuts, if you have to figure out your dog, internet woes, like that's okay. Here's the different channels to get in touch with us, and we can definitely figure that out together. And kind of giving people that permission that we aren't all going to be at 100% all the time when going through a global pandemic. So yeah, I think like morale starts first, letting people kind of know expectations so they can really then feel good about going into the day. And then I think like that second piece, once you kind of have that expectations, is reminding folks of the purpose of once again, what their customer support teams does. It's scary when you see that inbound volume, just those numbers skyrocketing. So just reminding the team, it's like, hey, right now, like you are helping us drive retention, or hey, like people are frustrated, people are struggling, and you get to be a bright point in their day when they write in to talk to you. And so that like motivating others and tying things back to the vision of why we're here and what the support team does, I think is an important one to help keep morale going too. We have another question here coming from Annie. Remy mentioned finding the blessing and the curse. Have either of you been able to find that for your teams during this time? Joelle, I'll pass it to you for first.
Thank you, Bob. Well, actually, yes, I would say one thing. The lesson that we're learning is, when you sit at the office all day, you're happy to see each other. You talk about a lot of things. You go and have coffee and talk about a number of things and talk about your life, your plans, or everything. And somehow you don't necessarily talk about business. You sit next to one another. A customer calls us first collaborator, then calls a second one, and then calls a third one. And no one knows that he actually called 2 times because they didn't sync up, because they didn't have time to update a ticket or a call ticket. So the effort in communication is very little, because we feel like we're in the same office. Obviously, we know everything about each other. Well, guess what? Now that we're not sitting together and that we don't get to check in with each other every day, we have virtual huddles. So every morning, level 1, level 2 quality and trainers and managers, we sync up for 10, 15 minutes, sometimes a little more. And we loop each other in, and we just update everyone on everything that's going on. And we just discuss the issues that we might have had the day before, which is something we never really take the time to do at the office, because it seems like it's all out there. And now having that discipline of checking in every day, we really have made progress. So I would say that one of the blessings that we have is improved communication. We make an effort to log into Zoom at a certain time and come prepared to share some information and prepared to come and receive information. So that is really a step forward. And I'm looking forward to being back at the office, but trying to make sure that we're going to be able to maintain the communication routine that we built on the back of working from home and on the back of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's so interesting with thinking about those habits or cultural pieces that are so in flux now, and using this time of change to kind of capitalize that, challenge those norms, and then, like you said, keep them alive for someday when we are all back in office. So I think for me, blessings through the curse is remembering that while we're going through tough times right now, this is a really pivotal and formative time for each of us as leaders and for our broader teams. And thinking about that someday down the road, when we can look back and be able to say, like, we went, how often do you go through a global pandemic in your career? Like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. And so even in the toughest moments, recognizing it's like, okay, how we're problem solving or how we're showing up right now, these are things that are going to stick with us, really challenge and push our leadership, push our team and our team's growth in a way that I think is once again just pretty kind of rare and in a strange way special thing. So trying to keep that perspective and connect those dots, first and foremost for yourself, but then also for the teams that you're leading. When we're going through these business problems together, like, lean on them and say, hey, you know what? I know you have these great ideas. I would love for you to help contribute to this project, or for your leaders and inwardly, it's like, okay, maybe these were things that, like, skills I didn't have, or didn't really want to kind of take head on, and now you're kind of forced to. So knowing we're going to come out the other side stronger. I love that. We grow the most in difficult times.
Yeah, but Annie, maybe back to you with the question, even if just in writing on the chat, and to everyone who's watching, what have your blessings been? Any thoughts you'd like to share? Kayleen, can you tell us a bit more in innovation, specifically for customer support, or in other areas of the business as well?
Hey, I just wanted to elaborate on that. Sorry. So in my particular company, we have a really small team of 6. So one of the ways that we innovated was we stopped taking incoming calls. Everything that I saw across the industry was saying, just turn your phone lines off. And that didn't really feel like a good solution for our customer base. So instead of doing that, we just put up a message on our phone line that says, our goal is to call you back within 15 minutes. And it's totally blown our customers away. They love it. They love the asynchronicity. And it's been really worked out really well for my team, because they're so much less stressed out.
But are you able to manage to call all of them back within 15 minutes?
We hit our goal 95% of the time. 95% of our callbacks are within 15 minutes, and we do it with 2 people responding to phone.
That's amazing. Congrats.
Yeah.
May I ask, was it was your team, were they scared for this change? Was there any leading them along, or were they part of the process?
I was terrified. I was terrified. I was worried that we were going to get people calling us back over and over and being like, why aren't you answering your phones? This is supposed to be customer service. And that did not happen at all. In fact, one thing that they reported was really stressful was taking a phone call and having a person just ream you out immediately or being really upset and taking it out on you. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I didn't expect was that people who leave an angry message after 5 or 10 minutes totally cool off, and they're way more willing to work with us.
So interesting. And while we have you, Annie was asking, any impact on CSAT so far?
That's a good question. We're actually a really small company, so our CSAT metrics are not our top metrics that we look at. But just based on team feedback, the majority of the feedback has been positive from our agents. We only have 6 people, so it's really easy for me to keep a temperature on a team of 6.
Yeah.
May I ask you what line of business you're working in?
We're in e-commerce. We do online trainings. We sell online training courses. We obviously had a huge increase in our traffic, and we managed to not hire anybody just by relying on self-service and changing the way that we responded to customers.
And do you think that once the situation kind of mellows down and calms down, will you still keep the phone system the way it is, and will you stick with it?
That's what they're asking. So I've deemed it as the new normal. This is what we're doing right now for the duration of the pandemic. And then once things chill out and people start going back to work, I'm not sure that that's going to work with their schedule. Normally when you call and you're at work, that's harder. But we're testing it out as a semi-permanent new normal thing as of this week. So it's pretty.
It's really, really interesting. I think it's a very innovative and creative way to go about.
Congrats. Awesome. Well, we have a few other questions that Joelle and I had chatted about. One of the ones I would love to throw at you, Joelle, is thinking about taking care of yourself first as a leader. How are you able to first kind of take care of your own well-being and then be able to then go take care and lead for your teams?
That is a very good question. I must say that I have an overall headcount of 35 people. So what I do to take care of myself first is to try and delegate. I think that is one thing to do. Delegate and empower people. Trust people, because basically what you do as a head, you'd like to control everything, make sure everything is going to be all right. I've decided not to worry about it because I have strong people and very, very solid teams and experienced managers, and to let them also handle people and trust them in the way they do it. And what I try to do, it's a new one for me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I've tried to install a personal discipline of not working all the time. I'm at home. I'm in Paris in my apartment. It's a small apartment. Paris apartments are not that large. So I really try to have a routine, to keep a routine for myself, and have moments where I really don't work. I disconnect. I stop Slack. I stop messaging. I try to keep time for myself. I do cook a lot. This is something that really keeps me happy. So I do kind of go out of the way and plan extra things. So it has me go shopping. So I try not to go shopping every single day, to try and limit risks as well. I do plan different menus. I do shop for different ingredients. So I spend plenty of time really cooking from scratch, from kneading pizza dough to making burger buns, a number of things that I wouldn't normally do, but to really try and build and rebuild my mental energy. And accept that a day is only that long. And honestly, after 8, 9, 10 hours of work, as a human being, I know that my concentration it vanishes. It's just, it's gone. I know as well that this is when I will tend to be, snappy, that something will frustrate me. So if you come to me at 9:30, I might still be somewhat sleepy and in need of a second or a third coffee. And then if you come to me past 6 or 7 p.m., I will be tired. And I'm telling myself, for a lot of things, just send a note, ask, is it urgent or can it wait tomorrow? Sleep on it, let it be. Accept the limits and don't overdo it. This is a marathon, really. Mm-hmm. So we need to preserve energy. And I have to do that to also set the example for the team. If I start working around the clock and they see me shooting emails and messages just around the clock, it sets the wrong expectations. And I do expect them to find the balance. I know it's not as easy for everyone, but as a leader, I think setting the example is important. We're not able to go out a bit more, so I do try to go hiking, to try and be on the safe side, but still try to resume life a little bit more. But yes, just trying to leave enough energy for the next day and to recharge in between. And yeah, cooking is my first and my main go-to option for a personal boost.
I'm very jealous and wish I could be there and enjoy some of your Paris cooking. That sounds delicious. And I think that's such a good shout. That's one, the self-awareness, knowing your own limits. Two, kind of contracting that and letting your team know. It's like, hey, if it's end of day, send a note versus, jumping on the call. And kind of understanding each other's working styles. And then lastly, I love that point too about just, leading by example. And as leaders, we're always on stage. And back to that expectations, right? If you're emailing in the wee hours of the night, they might think that that's what they're supposed to be doing too. So for me, staying refreshed, we wanted to bring this question up because I think as, leaders on this chat, like, for so many of us, there's this idea that you just have to push through and you just have to stay strong for your teams. And that's, at the end of the day, just not reality. We're all humans too. We're all people too. And so just being really honest and okay with that idea that you can't give from an empty cup. If you're running on fumes, you're not going to be able to be there to show up for your teams. And so it's okay for you to not be 100% every day, and maybe you have a team of leaders you can share that with. Maybe it's your boss. We had a tough week at Intercom last week, and come Friday when I was chatting with my boss, I was like, I'm just tired. I know there's a million things that still need to get done with all the changes this week, but I'm just running on empty. And so just being honest and vulnerable and sharing that with your professional network is just really important. And then I love your call too, Joelle. It's kind of staying refreshed. I've been trying to ask for help more. And I think, we were saying, as leaders, we got to take it all on. And this is not these tough times on our shoulders, but just really challenging myself to be more collaborative, like you said, to delegate more, to use this as learning and development opportunities for the broader team to jump in and mix it up in a way that they may have not been participating before. To give myself some of that bandwidth back, to be able to sign off at a reasonable hour, enjoy dinner with my partner. I think those small things are really important and add up, especially like you said, when we're in this for the long haul. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot for sharing as well, Bobby. We have a question I found really cool on the chat. What are the best leaders you have met in your life? And what impact did they have? If I may start, actually, the best leaders I met were the worst ones because they were difficult people to work with. They were difficult managers. They were lacking leadership. They were lacking communication. And they pushed me in being better. As opposed to being like them, I pushed myself to not being like them and tried to do for my teams what I felt was missing. So whatever I was not getting from my leader and from my boss, I was trying to do for my team. I was trying to reflect on my teams and my collaborators in a positive manner. So it burns a lot of energy. clearly when you're not getting what you're hoping for. I was younger as well, so I think you expect a lot. You know, I came out of management school. Guess what? I learned everything in management school except management. It comes with life. It comes with experience. It comes with maturity, and it is very true. And not everyone is meant to be a manager. Not everyone is a natural leader. Not everyone is meant. Some people will learn. They will learn eventually. They will be exposed to management. To some of them, it's a pain, and you can tell that, as well as they're, fantastic at their job, and they have amazing technical skills or other skills. Management and leadership is not something you can just wake up knowing. It's something that will change over time. It changes according to the company. It changes according to your colleagues, the level of experience of your teams. So to me, really, it has been a difficult journey for some of them. It's I was frustrated at the time. Now looking back at it and understanding what decisions are made and how they're made and how they came about making decisions that didn't please me back in the days. And now sometimes being in the position of making those decisions and more difficult decisions, it helps me relate. You gain perspective. It's not management and leadership is a journey. It never ends. And if you look at it, it's fascinating and it's fantastic. I would say there was really one leader, my Italian boss back in the days, who I thought was really, really, really tough. And he never gave in. And I had to argue all the time. And at some point we had a very open discussion. And I told him, look, you're very difficult to work with. I don't know how to do that in a nice way. And he looked at me, he's like, really? And he asked me to explain. And I told him, you're very odd, because if I come too early in the morning and you haven't had 2 or 3 coffees, you're not awake. I can't talk to you. But if I come after 11 or 11:30, you're hungry already, and all you can think about is lunch. When you come back from lunch, I cannot come to you until you are done digesting, because you're kind of half asleep. And after 4 or 4:30 p.m., all that's on your mind is aperitivo. So basically, I have 2 windows of time between more or less 10:30 and 11, and 2:30ish to 4 p.m. And he looked at me and he started laughing. And I said, that's what I live with. And then on top of that, I usually come with 10 questions. I know you're going to say no out of principle to everything I ask for 9 times. And then you start feeling bad and you have to give me something. So for the only question that is actually relevant to me and the answer I need to get, that I wait for the 10th question and for you to just give in. You just basically, have to give me something so I can still walk away with something. And we laughed about it because I pointed out to him as well that I never came to him when he was playing with cables. His way to deal with stress was all of a sudden to go around the office and fix all the cables and all the computer and electric cables. But yes, and I'm being tough. I think I've had, honestly, also over the years, some good leaders. I've learned a lot from a number of them in different aspects. But yes, as I mentioned, starting, leadership is a complex journey. It's a roller coaster. There are ups and downs, and you need to be very, very resilient. You need to persevere. You might be exposed to examples that are less good. Just bounce back and just decide that you can do better than that, and you can just take the opposite way of doing things.
Yeah, it's that, and I love hearing that, and it's such a positive mindset. Back, like what you hear from our panelists, it's like, okay, what can you control? Love that you laid it into them pretty straight. But also at the end of the day, it's like, I can't control their leadership style. So what can I do? I can learn from it, adapt, and make sure that you're creating a different experience for your teams. For me, leader that's impacted my life, I guess this is in the lens of my professional life, and sounds very Kool-Aid company man to say it, but just a huge, huge fan of the Intercom CEO, Owen McCabe. I was at Apple for many years before coming to Intercom, and so coming to a smaller, we're 600 people company, And to still, and see the CEO who was just like so open to feedback, whether that's like in Slack or around the office, just like taking time to have like personal conversations with people, looking them in the eye. And he might not know everybody, he might not know their in-depth story, but just taking that time to like get their feedback, to really like hear from them. I was like, hey, like this guy's a CEO, if he can do it, like, well, I can do it too, even like to large teams. And so was really impressed with that personal connection, the vulnerability that like we see from him. I think as you grow in your leadership career, once again, you can put this pressure on yourself to have to be this like professional, put together person that your team's counting on. And so to see, Owen and company all hands be like, hey guys, I really, effed up that message the last time around, and I'm really sorry about that. Or, hey, like we got this wrong, we have to do better. To just see that type of vulnerability, that type of honesty and sincerity come from, from a leader, gave me that permission to then, embody that as well for my teams. And I think that that's just a really great way to lead. So he's definitely the first one that comes to mind. I love it. Well, Joelle, I think we're technically out of time.
Yeah, we have to wrap up.
So we will wrap. Big thanks to, of course, to Joelle for doing back-to-back, moderating the amazing session with the panelists, and coming in here today to share her insights. We will be bouncing on over, I believe, to the closing remarks here in a few. Thank you again. Thank you to Caitlin for jumping on. And Matthias, I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, for your shares in the chat. And thank you to everyone who's listening. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, guys, for dropping questions on the chat. You made it really interactive for us and very spontaneous. Be safe, be well, enjoy the rest of the day and of the week.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.